Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of A Christmas Story Christmas. It's on HBO Max. It's one of their original films. They're trying to hit that nostalgia button for you. And I'm a blind film critic, so I watched this with audio description. It does have audio description, so you can enjoy it. Yeah, oddly enough, this is not the first legacy sequel I've seen this year that we didn't necessarily need. I've already had to sit through Eraser Reborn, Blade of the 47 Ronin, RIPD2, and now I'm sitting through a sequel to A Christmas Story, and I'm not really sure why. Especially considering this is what they had to bring to the table. I think maybe there's a good idea here, but I think they probably went about it all the wrong way. So let's talk about it. So this film takes place featured around Ralphie, played once again by Peter Billingsley, who has grown up and he is now basically he's just impoverished. He's just totally, he's a struggling writer, but he's not a struggling writer in the same way that like Topher Grace's character on Home Economics is a struggling writer. He's a struggling writer in the way that there's no milk in the fridge, so his kids eat cereal with orange juice. Like there's, that's where he's at. So at the beginning of the film, he's stressing because he's trying to get his work to a publisher, and they're all like, nah. And he's waiting for his parents to arrive, but they never do, because the plot of the film revolves around the fact that his father has passed away. So, which actually the actor Darren McGavin, who played his father in the original Christmas Story, actually did pass away years ago. So, I don't know that the actress who played his mom has passed away. IMDb does not have death dates on her, so I think she just chose not to be in the film, which means we get Julie Haggerty, who will sign on to anything because Freddie got fingered on her IMDb score, and I'm never going to let her forget it. But she's here. She signed on. She was like, yeah, whatever. Give me some money. I'll do it. And Erin Hayes plays Ralphie's wife, and Erin Hayes is amazing. And if you don't know who Erin Hayes is, please learn that name. We all need to know her name. She needs to be the next biggest thing because it will annoy the shit out of some people. She played Kevin James's wife on Kevin Can Wait. She was the one that they decided she didn't need to be a part of the show after the first season, so they wrote her off the show. And then they killed her character off. And then they had Kevin James hook up with Leah Remini so they could recreate King of Queens. And that whole experience served as the basis for the AMC show Kevin Can Fuck Himself. So that is Erin Hayes. Her life experience inspired a TV show. So I love the fact that she succeeds. She's also been in a bunch of things like Children's Hospital, Medical Police, and some other comedies. So she's funny, and I liked her in this. I don't have any problems with her. She's just kind of underused, and Peter Billingsley takes up a lot of time because the first film was featured on Ralphie, and we had a very different narrator. I do not know what time period this film takes place in, to be exact. I don't know when this film takes place because the original Christmas Story did come out in the 80s, but did not take place in the 80s. And based on Peter Billingsley's age and growth, he would need to be in the 80s now. I believe the film took place in the 40s or 50s. So having grown up, this would be like maybe 70s or 80s. If this is a 2022 film, we have totally messed up. The math was not done correctly. So this has to be a period piece. I was trying to follow along and figure that out, but I'm not exactly sure what year this is in. So I think that would have made it a little bit easier. Also, nostalgic wise, for those who are like, oh, well, I need more than Peter Billingsley, congratulations, because they got the rest of the kids to come back. Pretty much when he goes back and he sees all of his old friends, those are actually the kids from the original Christmas Story. They're just the grown-up versions of them. That's also the grown-up version of Randy. That is the actor who played Randy. I know he's not in the film very much, but that's him. So they did go back and they found these kids who have grown up. So at least Peter Billingsley isn't the only person who was in the original film. However, the original film had Ralphie as a kid and had a narrator who was playing the adult version of Ralphie. It was a completely different voice, and it had its own... That kind of gave it its own sort of nostalgic feel to it. This one has his own voice, narrating his own film that he stars in. And I don't know how successful that is. I don't know that that's necessarily the way that I would have gone. I think if you can't get a different narrator, you could have gotten an older sounding voice. This could have been the grandpa version of Ralphie, looking back on, it would have been really cool to hear like Jeff Bridges, like in the narration, or John Goodman or something, playing like, when Ralphie gets old, looking back on that time. But I would have gone and actually figured out what made A Christmas Story work. It was about kids. That's what the film was about. It wasn't about the adults. The film wasn't interesting because of the adults. It was about the kids. So you have to make it about the kids, but then build the adults around them and show us how much Ralphie is like his father, how much he's not like his father, and show us that way, but through the eyes of his kids. He's got a son and a daughter in this, and I think the film would have been delightful if they had gone the route of making the daughter the narrator and had her talk about this one Christmas where her grandpa died and everything that her family was going through, instead of making this once again Ralphie's story. The first film was Ralphie telling this story about this one magical Christmas where he wanted this one specific toy, this Red Ryder action carbine BB gun. I know I messed that up. I was so close. But this is about, I don't know, his dad dying. He's writing the obituary. He's a failed writer. He's trying to find the magic of Christmas for his kids. They're poor. It's just one of those, like, you can never really truly go home again type things. It's all just kind of a mess. And they throw in there things like the little pink bunny suit to try to make you happy, and the lamp from the leg lamp, the lampshade, obviously, because the leg broke. But the lampshade from that prop, and it's just, it didn't work for me. I don't think Peter Billingsley is a good enough actor to be able to carry a film like that on both an actor and a narrator stance. I wasn't that interested in him. It was kind of odd to hear him talking, if that makes any sense. Like, he's talking as a narrator, and then he's talking in the film, and he's talking as a narrator. We didn't have that in the first film because it was a different voice. It was a voice that wasn't even remotely in the film. And a lot of times when you do these films that take a look back on something, the actor is not narrating the look back. It's not the same voice. We usually get the grown-up version of a voice. So I think I would have played with that. If they're going to keep Ralphie as the focus, make him older. Go hire John Goodman or somebody to narrate this. But I think there are a lot of missed opportunities, and the film just kind of falls flat. And it tries to make a lot of jokes, like his car is a piece of shit, so in order to get it even remotely even to his parents' house, they have to fry an egg on the radiator, which clogs a hole and gets them across the state so that they can get home. It's it's also just kind of a depressing film because Ralphie really just didn't grow up to do much. You know, he had all those hopes and dreams, and this is what he got. And a lot of his friends too. Just they didn't really, like, just kind of grew up and did kind of normal jobs. It's a very weird film to want to make. Like, why did we make this? So I don't know. I do not know the answer to that question, but I didn't like it. Julie Haggerty's fine. She commits to the comedy. And Aaron Hayes is fine, and the kids were fine. It's weird to say that Peter Billingsley is the weakest part of this film. He's just not a strong actor. He just hasn't had the experience. Unfortunately, he took breaks, and it shows in his ability to be able to handle a dramatic scene or also be able to handle a comedic scene. He just kind of is always just right in the middle, kind of flat. It feels like they literally picked some guy off the street and said, "Hey, want to be in the movie?" And he was like, "Okay, what do I do? I don't know. You just read these lines and go." And then you just get some guy. It just doesn't, he never feels like he's the character. It's very odd. He never feels like he's a part of his own family. He never feels like he's really married to his wife. He never feels like he's really the parent to his kids. He never feels like he's the son to his mother. He just feels so out of place in his own film. It's so bizarre. But I don't think we needed this film. The narration is fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's one of those films where I have to give it a pass because you have the dialogue that takes place within the context of the film, and then you have the narration, which there is a lot of narration because it's trying to mimic what the first film did. So Ralphie talks a lot in this film. And then somewhere in the few tiny little breaks, you throw in audio description because you don't want to talk on top of other people. So you don't get a ton of it, but they make every effort to try to include as much audio description as they can. But it's just, the narration is taking up some of their gaps. So it's a best case scenario type audio description, I think. That's it. I would say don't watch this. It doesn't understand why the first film worked. It doesn't capture the magic of it at all. It just expects you to be wowed by the fact that they got the original kids back for the film. And I hope we can move past that. I'd be really excited to see a film that featured all of the original Mighty Ducks. But if the film didn't understand why the original Mighty Ducks film was fun and worked and tried to make it depressing, and they were all in this weird destitute poverty situation where none of them had careers that worked, and they kept focusing on the ones that hadn't acted since the original film, and so on and so forth. The TV show uses them sparingly and gives them very little to do because a lot of them have not had the experience. And even when they do speak, it's generally the ones that have acted, like Eldon Henson speaking. So, but this is not great. I'm going to go A Christmas Story Christmas, a D+. That's it. That's my review. A lot of missed opportunities. I would have changed the narrator. I would have made it from his daughter's perspective. She's the one that seems the most excited about Christmas, and it could have been really poignant to tell the story from her perspective about watching her dad go through the loss of her granddad, and this one Christmas where it was all kind of weird. They had these previous Christmases, and she could tell the story about how they were struggling financially from a later on adult perspective, and all that could have really worked, and it would have captured at least the magic of that. Plus, they're not from the town, so it would have had, instead of the first film where the kids were from the town and they were playing with their friends from the neighborhood, it would have explored what happens when kids go to visit family members over Christmas and they play with the kids in the neighborhood who are not really their friends. How do they fit in? How do they do that? So, huge missed opportunity. I think my movie's better. Let me know in the comments if you think my movie's better, if I've already described to you a better film than this. But yeah. Also, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year, so a subscription would be great. I also have a website, macmovieguyy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to theadna.org and you can find out who's narrating your favorite movies and TV shows. That's it for me today. I got to go review something else, but I will see you on the other side.